All right. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is I want to give you a perspective of being an ENTP who works in business and perhaps showing you or spotting light on all of the advantages that you have. So first and foremost, you probably don't know me. My name is Dre Sean, and I have been doing marketing for over 10 years now. And to be honest, the way that I got into marketing was something, not over 10 years, about 10 years. And the way that I started doing marketing was just, I didn't even want to be a marketer. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, honestly. And I thought I was going to be playing video games, but I honestly was just like navigating life and looking at the opportunities as they came and being adjustable and adaptable to the situation. And so marketing happened to just be an opportunity that came my way, and I started to notice all of the possibilities and all of the opportunities within it. And I started to, think to myself and say to myself, like, you know what, there's something here that I can do. And so I did. So I started multiple businesses. I started first off, I got a job. And my job that I had, I was working as, I think I said this, but I worked my way up in corporate from senior strategist all the way to, VP of a company. And then I realized that, this wasn't for me. I got bored, honestly. I felt like I beat the matrix, like I beat the game, the corporate game. And I was like, I need to do something else. So I started consulting, and the thing that kept me into consulting for a long time was the fact that I could talk to a multitude of different businesses. So all of the ideas that I would generate would be based off of a new business model, like things that I never worked with before. Like I worked with a company that was trying to launch a virtual office space during COVID, right? And we did a whole bunch of things for them, had a lot of cool ideas, had ways to spin it because there was no way to really market that at that time, unless you were using like Facebook ads or something like that. So it was really, you had to come up with a creative, innovative approach to being able to market that. I've worked with banks. I've worked with, law firms, roofers. I actually almost started a roofing company before. I've worked with, eyeglass stores, like eyeglass companies, e-commerce stores. So I have a big mix, right? And so this is where like I get my fix. Trying to basically theorize about what I'm going to do to help each business with their own individual problem and how I'm going to solve all those problems, right? And so this is where I thrive. This is what allows me to, really do good. And I think the reason why this is because of NE, right? So that's the first thing I'll talk about. Because you have NE, because you're extroverted intuitive, you can see, obviously you know this, but you can see the possibilities that most people can't. So, it's just like you just know, right? Like you come into contact with something and you can kind of see multiple different angles of how you can attack this. And sometimes, to be honest, what people like to say is that you only see unrelated things, but that's not true. For me, I see related things. To me, everything is related. And maybe this is why, to me, it might seem related, like everything might seem related because of just my NE being able to make associations between everything. But everything is related in what I'm doing for these businesses, and they need different solutions for different problems. And so like it's easy for me to come up with different ideas and and a lot of the times my ideas that I come up with are based off of no data. It's just like I just know. Like I see that we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. I probably hear something, maybe they said something that sparked an idea, and I just come up with all these different, solutions. And so like this is why I think if you are an ENTP that you will be best at something like sales or marketing if you want to go into a career. But I could also see this prevalent in science and in even philosophy. I could see this prevalent in anything that regards teaching, because being a marketing consultant is basically just teaching people about marketing and what they need to do for their business. And you take a not unique, but a theoretical approach in order to getting a specific result for them and for their business. I think also the FE component makes you have to think about what other people want. And so every time when I'm thinking about ideas and I'm brainstorming ideas, I'm always thinking about, is this the best thing for the user? right? So FE helps in that way, right? And so it really orients you towards something that is, bigger than what you can, I guess, bigger than what you could think, or greater than what you can think. And so when you're always at the head of innovation, when you're always noticing the trends, when you're always seeing things differ, and one thing I should say is that when you are working in a job, a lot of the times they don't reward this type of thinking, okay? Like, they're going to think that you're too all over the place, you're too chaotic. I remember one time I had a supervisor who was getting mad because I was doing keyword research for one of our clients. They were a mouse, transgenic mice company, or not transgenic, but a custom animal biotech company, right? And I remember thinking to myself, why are we, like, all the content that we were creating was about what is a mouse, like what is a transgenic mouse, what are transgenic mice, what's a transgenic rabbit, like all these different transgenic animals. And I was thinking to myself, like, they had an issue because they were complaining that most of the lead quality that they were getting were from people who were college students. And I said to myself, well, that makes sense, because people who are searching for this, if we're trying to work with, I knew that their audience demographic was teachers at institutions, and also teachers at institutions, and they also wanted scientists, right? So I knew, like, a scientist is already going to know the answers to what is a transgenic mice. They already work on this all the time. Or what are transgenic mice? They already work on this. So it's not that. And so I started to think about, like, different ways that we could attract these people. So I said to myself, what are the tools that they use? Because they ultimately have to use tools in order to do what they're doing with these mice, right? And I started to think about all of these different ways of attracting them. Tools and issues that they might be having, FAQs about the problems that they're running into, looking at multiple different sources, finding forums where they're at, making connections with these different people, talking to people who might be talking to them to understand what we need to know more about these people, right? And I started to just realize everything that, and obviously, like, I will say that intuition is based off of impression. So the impressions that you get is what also helps you to inform everything else. So, like, when you can see all of the past connections, all of the past things that you went through, and make them all connections, it's easy to take. It's like your SI is basically an amalgamation of the experiences that you've had throughout everything, and then you can just look at the possibilities of the new thing and apply all the things that you've already experienced to this thing as well, and then start to see how you can make connections between everything that you've experienced, right? And so it's like, the more that I started to realize this, my supervisor, I almost lost track. I almost did it. My supervisor at the time, he was asking me, why are you doing this? Like, this doesn't make any sense, and he couldn't get it. And I, for me, at this time, I was just like, you know what, bro, like, I'm not going to argue with him about it, because I was thinking to myself that maybe I could have been wrong. So I was open-minded, and this is another issue with having high NE, because just because you have TI doesn't mean anything. Like, you could, to me at least, when you have NEFE, you could know that you are right about something, and because you have NE and FE and you're oriented towards the object, a lot of the times what you're going to do is you're going to want to be open-minded to hearing what someone else has to say for the sake of social harmony, even if it means, like, yes, you can explain your logic, you can explain your methodology, but you might think that this person might not get it. And there's a whole bunch of different things, because you can't just like say, oh, because I have this cognitive function, I'm gonna behave in this way. There's so many things that alter your behavior that you don't even know about. Like, cognitive function, saying that, nothing to Young. I love Young and everything, but saying that the cognitive functions are the sole reasoning for why you do every single thing that you do, which is not a claim that he ever made, but I'm saying that this is a claim that most people make, is completely wrong, right? This is one avenue and one aspect of looking at yourself and understanding yourself, and you can see the correlations between this and understanding yourself, but you can also understand yourself just by trying to understand yourself. Be conscious and aware of what you're doing and interpret it yourself, like talk to yourself about what you're doing, right? And so, like, I was open-minded. I didn't argue with him. But I knew I was right. But it's like, okay, whatever. And then, so that's one thing, right? And I think the other thing is, so that's one aspect. The other aspect of working in marketing and working in business in general, aside from being very innovative, because, again, you have this, you come up with ideas that people cannot come up with. I mean, I think in the age of AI right now, this is a cheat code, because everybody is just looking at everything that already exists, and then they're using AI to try to do something as well. But it's like, bro, like, the person with the best ideas is the person who's gonna win. Okay, TI. So with TI, everything has to make sense, right? And this means that you're gonna go the extra mile to make sure that you understand everything. But I think that a lot of people think that the reason why ENTPs make a lot of mistakes is because they don't fully understand everything because of their any hero. I don't think that's the case. I think the reason why we make a lot of mistakes is because we understand everything. Like, this sounds so egotistical, but we understand everything that we put our mind to. However, we are open to being mistaken. So a lot of the times people will take us being open as us being wrong, and they will automatically assume that it is a mistake because we are much more concerned with the truth than being right. And so it's like we just want to know the truth. We have an insatiable desire to understand the truth. And at any moment, even if it means going against ourselves, to some degree, we will. And it's not necessarily going against ourselves, but it's more so being open and saying, what if this is the case? What if I am wrong? What if this does happen in this way? Then I need to at least hear what this person has to say. And if they're fucking wrong, then, then we'll just destroy it, take it apart. But I think that also depends on the environment. That depends on the environment and who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with, right? Because, and it depends on your circumstances, right? So, it depends. Like, if you're somebody who's been doing something for years and you feel like you have an idea of how it works and blah, 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 and you have like all of this proof that you are who you say that you are, then you might think about things differently, right? Or you might just say people are stupid. There's been many a times where I've complained because I'm like, bro, you don't get it. You don't understand it, right? But I think like us having TI is also a cheat code because we brainstorm ideas that we come up with, and then we also understand our ideas more than anybody else can, and our ideas are usually revolutionary if we're going based off of also looking at some type of external source, because you cannot 100% forget about the external source, which is a pit that we always fall into. Like, I always fall into that because I'm just like, well, I care about what I think. I don't really care about what this person thinks, unless it's advice and it's like through an FE lens, which is a little bit different, at least to me. Because I'm open. I'm not so arrogant that I can't take someone's advice, right? When I was younger, that was different. I didn't really care. But as I've matured, things have changed a lot. I've become way more introspective and way more like looking at different things. So yeah. And then there's the FE component. The FE component just means that you have FE child, so you actually do care about the people. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing is helpful to them. So this pairs with innovation and just liking people in general, right? And then you have SI, and SI basically is your inferior function, but as your inferior function, it also helps you to understand what you need to do as well, right? Because you're taking from your past impressions and you're basically applying that to your future. So it's like, the more, to be honest, that you fuck up in life, the more that you actually get better throughout life, in my opinion, because you've made so many mistakes and you've gone through the hell, you've gone through the war, you've gone through the fire, that you made it to the other side. You made it to the other side of the abyss, right? So I think that's also another thing that's worth noting. So if you're ENTP, And to be honest, though, I will say one thing. I think that going into sales is way, like with what I know now, you need to sell a product. You have to think about, what do people want? Society ultimately wants to alleviate pain. Every single person in this world buys a product because they want to alleviate pain. Whether it's, and the pain could be in the form of anything. Like, you don't know people's pains, you don't know people's desires, you don't know what people want, right? But it could be anything. But we do know that people want something, right? And so, like, which is why, honestly, I think that you can make any product work, as long as you can make anything work. You can sell anything as long as you know how to sell. And so, like, I think that sales is a very, very, very important skill, because everything in life is going to be like, you're going to have to sell yourself for everything. So if you're an ENTP and you're trying to work your way up, I think the best thing you could do for yourself is to start doing sales, because when you run your own business, you're going to have to sell, and you're going to have to know how to sell. You're going to have to know how to talk to people, and you can read all the books in the world that tell you how to sell, but you never going to learn how to sell until you create your own framework and you understand it yourself. Because the problem with reading books about sales is that if everyone could do it, right? If it was just as simple, not if everyone could do it. I think everyone could do it if they try to. But if it was as simple as reading a book, right? Then there would be no, like, you would be able to do anything you want in life. Like, life is not about a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about creating your own framework. Like, everything is not, like, this is crazy, because it's like, you can't, if the knowledge in books were real, or not real, if the knowledge in books were as practical and applicable to real life as you thought, then everybody would be successful in whatever they're trying to learn, right? The knowledge, you can only go but so far with what you're reading. You have to get a experience at the end of the day. You have to literally go through the fire. I said that already, but I think this is the biggest issue. This is one of the biggest issues with people, is that they don't want to throw themselves into chaos. So, you know what? This is random, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself, and I think I want to go get some, not Wawa, but I want to go get some, what's it called? See if it's open. Playables. Let's see. Yeah, that's what it's about to close, so I'm not going to go get it, unfortunately, but that's crazy. They close so early around here, 9 o'clock, man. Yeah, but anyways, I hope you enjoyed this rant, this video. I don't even know what to talk about a lot of the times, to be honest, so I think what I'm going to start doing for content ideas is just literally looking at some type of thread to give myself a topic, and then I'm just going to rant. Like, I'm going to go on Reddit, or go find something to get an idea from, and then I'm just going to come on here and talk about whatever comes to mind. That's going to be easier than me, like, just thinking out loud of what I want to talk about. So, yeah. Peace.